and with very little work you can suddenly become an area specialist, especially from the comfort of your own home, which is why I've put together this next video on how to use realestate.com.au just to become an area specialist before you even walk out the door. Hi there, I just want to take you through how I research property from home. As you can see these days it's very easy. Just grab your computer with the internet, pen and paper, and we're ready to go. The site that I use mainly, which is great Australia-wide, is realestate.com.au. So to continue on with this case study, I'd go through how I research properties in Nunawading, the surrounding areas, and just little hints and tips on how to find the best deal for you on the internet. The internet will only get you so far. You have to get out on the street and do the legwork and speak to agents. But it's a great way to do research from the comfort of your own home. So simply select the state, so in this example Victoria. The search page will come up with this basic information on which suburb, how much and what type of dwelling. If you're further down the track and you've got a fair idea of what you want and you've really narrowed it down, I suggest that you go down to the button that says click here for more search options. You'll notice here that a few extra fields have come up, being number of bedrooms, number of car spaces and the land size. So in all cases you might not be too worried about that because most houses will probably be 3 bedrooms, so by doing this extra step you're not going to narrow too much down. Another option that realestate.com.au offers is to search by map. So if you're not 100% sure of the area you want to invest in yet, you can just narrow it down by the map and get to know the surrounding suburbs. For example, I've clicked here on Victoria and Melbourne, and you can see how it's been broken down into north, east, inner east, Bayside, etc, etc. And by clicking on each region you can see the suburbs within that region. One tip when buying a property is that as you go out further and further from the city, prices will obviously get cheaper. You might have your heart set on buying in Bayswater for example, but doing a bit of research over the internet, you'll see that by buying in Croydon, one more suburb out, you're probably 20 grand better off. So that extra 3 or 4 minute drive worth $20,000 to you at this stage? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But just something to consider, that the way property prices tend to work is a ripple effect from the city. Each suburb, as you go further out, will probably be worth a little bit less. There'll be pockets obviously with properties that are a bit more prestigious, but in general, the further out from the city you go, the cheaper that the land prices will generally be. So let's have a look at Nunawading. Step 1 is to simply type in the suburb that you're after. Usually if you type in the first 4 or 5 letters, it'll automatically find it on the list and you'll be able to select it from there. It also gives you the option of selecting multiple suburbs, so if you wanted to look at 3 or 4 suburbs in this case, simply hold the control key and click on other suburb names which will come in the list at the top. Another great feature is to include the surrounding suburbs. This way realestate.com.au will give you the results for Nunawading, but will also give you the surrounding suburbs results, which is a great way just to compare. Step 2 is to enter a price range. By now you should have a fair idea of what a bank will lend you. So you should be able to put a limit in here, probably 30,000 above what the bank will lend you, and maybe 50,000 below, just depending on what you want to look at. Because 30,000 above, there's a chance that you can still get the price that the bank will lend you, and obviously anything below that is a bonus. If you're happy with that house and you can not max yourself out, that's great. Step 3 is the type of dwellings. I don't usually worry too much about this because depending on the type of suburb that you've selected, that's the type of dwellings that will generally come up in the search. So you're better off probably leaving just show us all, so you get a good idea of the type of suburb and type of options available. A standard house usually has 3 bedrooms. If you want to have a look into buying a 2-bedroom house or 4 or more, this option will really narrow it down, saving you searching through 50% of houses that aren't in your criteria. Similar with car spaces, this will have more an effect on inner city properties where parking is limited, whereas if you go out to the suburbs a bit more, although you might only have 1 or 2 parks within the property, off-street parking is usually pretty easy. Number 6 is the minimum land size. If you're after a big backyard or potentially extending or doing a development down the track, you want to put in here the minimum land size required. If you're not sure on what it'll take to do a development or to renovate, make sure you check with your council so you have an idea first of what the minimum land requirements are. And finally, properties per page. The default's 10. I usually switch it to 30. It might take slightly longer to load, but it's easier than clicking the next button all the time. And sort by results. The options they give here are default, which is usually the latest listing first. The other two options are price, which is one I often use because I want to see the cheapest price listed first and worry about the more expensive ones last. And then of course suburb. So in step 1, if you listed multiple suburbs, it just sorts them out in order rather than getting them all mixed up.